Good morning. Happy Thursday, you guys. Just kind of wanted to come and let y'all in on my life right now. So yesterday was like a really, how can I say it? Like a challenging day. It was a challenging day because I know that God has called me to go higher in this season, which is requiring more of me at work. But I just kind of want to share a revelation that I had in regards to when God calls you higher, but yeah, you want to self-sabotage and to not go to the level that God has called you to. So with my current job, I wouldn't say that it's the easiest job, but definitely, it has its challenges. And let's just say next month, it's going to be a lot of volume, a lot of work, a lot of me staying on top of my tasks. And just being honest, y'all, I don't even want to do it. I'm just being really honest about it. I'm just kind of at the point where I surrendered to God earlier this month. And when I surrendered, when you surrender, you basically just saying, okay, Lord, let your will be done. I'm going to take all my to-do lists off and I'm just going to let you operate, God. So currently that is what I'm on. So, when I heard the news on how my job was kind of changing, I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I got upset. I'm just like, oh my God, I barely, really, I don't even want to say I don't enjoy my job. It's just there are changes very frequent at my job. I could be doing something one way for, let's say, a month or two, and then after that month or two, things dramatically change. We're doing things a different way. We resetting the format. And I've been at my current job for 2 years, y'all. And it's just been constant change. Now, one thing about it, God has worked on me, of course, because I have 4 kids, that, I've kind of adapted to change in regards to, my kids and when I have to pick them up and things like that. But, I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I'm still adapting to changes at my job. And I feel like that's where God is calling me to get stronger with changes. So whatever he has for me, I'll be adapted and ready for it. So, I got really discouraged yesterday, and I'm just like, oh my God, I need to start looking for a new job because I don't feel like doing this. It be that serious. I'm like, oh, today is the Indeed day. And sometimes I joke with my coworker and I'll be like, girl, today is an Indeed day. You be like, oh, I don't want to do this work, baby. I need to find something different. I need to figure it out because this ain't it. But, I talked my talk yesterday. That's all I can say. But at the end of the day, I know that God wants me to do more at this job and to find more of my purpose here, and maybe just to teach me some lessons and to unlock some things that have not been unlocked previously. So I don't know, yesterday I was just kind of in a really funky mood because I'm just like, bro, I gotta do this. Ain't no way around it. I'm like, okay, I could start and look for a new job and actually entertaining that fact, but then I'm like, okay, you gave your will up, so you quitting your job just because you don't want to do something, that's kind of, I ain't gonna say kind of, it's not what grown people do. You know what I'm saying? It's just to figure it out. So yesterday I ended up watching Dr. Miles Monroe, and he talks about how to adapt to life crisis. And it's funny because the day before I started watching the part 1 of that video, and I was like, okay, I get it. It kind of described the previous, let's say, 6 months of my life when I went through a season of adapting and getting acquainted with crisis, which is pretty much just change that you are not expecting. So of course with my job, I be expecting change in my jobs, but in my job, but when it happens, I be really kind of upset about it because I'm like, dang, I got to go back and do things and try to figure it out or whatever. But one thing I learned from Dr. Miles Monroe yesterday is that change is an opportunity for us to get better at something. a lot of times crisis or change in a certain aspect, that is God's purpose for calling you higher, for you to be able to kind of like figure some things out, and just for you to really be adaptable. Because one thing he said that God said in the Bible is that change is constant. Like, if nothing else exists in this world, change is constant. So in regards to when it gets dark outside, when it's light outside, when it's hot outside for one season and it's cold for one season, like, there are seasons for different things. So I'm learning that even with my job, there are seasons. It may be seasons where things are rough. And to be honest with you, like, over the last, let's say, maybe like November, December, and January, my job was kind of slow. So, I had a lot of downtime, but now it's the summertime. A lot of people want things done for their house. So it's a busy season, and I just have to be, getting ready to be adapted to the changes. But yeah, Dr. Monroe definitely helped me yesterday, kind of put me into a perspective of kind of, girl, you need to roll with the punches, suck it up. And to know that once you get through this, you'll be stronger. So a lot of times when we go through changes, God is calling us to grow in our strength, because whatever our ultimate calling is, we're going to need whatever that is. And for me, sometimes I have a hard time dealing with, how can I say it? I have a hard time dealing with different attitudes. Like, everybody has their own little personal quirks and things like that. And sometimes because, somebody has like a super worldly, how can I say it? Like a super worldly, just like attitude, it kind of irritates me a little bit. Like, I ain't even gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? Like, it irritates me a little bit. And it's not necessarily because they don't know no better. It's just that sometimes, how you can be somewhere and somebody have a conversation, but the conversation doesn't really fit the circumstance. And it's kind of, I ain't going to say vulgar, but for me, because I've been walking with the Lord for a while now, like certain conversations, certain things that are being brought up, like I just cannot, I don't have a high tolerance for it. So I'm like one of them people, if you start having a conversation that I'm just like not enjoying, like I'm going to be that person to kind of like, not necessarily walk away, but I, ease my way out of it, only because I know that this conversation is not honoring the Lord. And then for me to be able to be like sitting there and participating in it, or just to even, laugh at it, what I'm saying? That's a different form of participating. No, I'm not actively in the conversation, but at the same time, like, I'm still like a part of it. So for me, I've learned to just kind of ease on out of things, you know what I'm saying? Because, yeah, like certain conversations, as a child of God, you just don't even kind of want to be a part of. And, I've gotten to that point to where that's not something that I want to be a part of. And, I feel like sometimes people think that you're a little weird or whatever, but like, I'm trying to honor God with everything that I do, whether it be conversations or not. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, because I definitely fall into traps that the devil have set. So definitely, like me yesterday, finding out the new information that I found out and how my workload is going to change and how I do things. Like, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. Like, I got super discouraged. And I'm like, bro, I need to start looking for a new job. Like, I ain't gonna be able to do this. But that's what Satan wants you to think or whatever. And you just kind of gotta renew your mind in that situation. So me listening to Dr. Miles talk about that, it definitely renewed my mind. And then it was so funny because even after that, I was really blessed by that word. And I'm like, okay, you just got to put on your big girl pants and like literally, like really just grow stronger in what you do at your job. Like, give it your all. Like, don't procrastinate. Because I ain't gonna lie, like, y'all, I'm like one of them people that, like, I do watch videos at work, and not saying that kind of slows down my work progress, but there's definitely times where I just be like on social media, just kind of like playing around, or not even playing around, just literally consuming social media, which I know that slows down my work. So I'm like, okay, I have to be a big girl, and if I got to, say, okay, no social media at work, which I did for a strong little while. But it has kind of gotten bad since I started posting content again. So I'm like, okay, well, I need to limit the social media while I'm at work, and then just more so try to work on my content and stuff like when I'm at home, and like setting a schedule for that, so that way it doesn't affect my work performance. Because I ended up watching another video by another great teacher, which his name is Myron Golden, and he was talking about how we self-sabotage because of the simple fact we hit a level where we we are stressed out because it's like, oh my God, like I have to work for whatever it is that God has for me. And like that message spoke a lot to me, because I'm like, okay, yeah, in this season, like, to whom much is given, much is required. So much is required of me in this season. And, I had a little pity party yesterday, but, I'm over it now. And I just know that, I had to start thinking on how to tackle this giant. When we read the Bible, we think about how, it was a giant with David and Goliath, but we have to think about some of our situations as a giant. Like me putting my all into my work is kind of like my giant right now. And I have to be able to conquer that and be able to set aside my own feelings. Because one thing about it, which is what Myron Golden touched on yesterday, which I said was giving me life, y'all. He touched on how, the challenge that God gives us is not one that we get to pick ourselves. Like we don't get to pick what challenge he gives us. So definitely spoke volume to my situation, because of course if I had my own choice, I wouldn't choose to be where I'm at, or I wouldn't choose the struggle that I currently have. Of course we all would live struggle free lives if that was possible, but I'm just learning to go through the changes, go through the storms. And then just to give y'all another high note, what he said too, he was just like, typically there's always the devil, then there's a problem, but then there's God's promise. So God promises us things. It's just that typically with those promises, there's a problem in front of it. And then of course, there's a lot of chaos around it. So as Christians, we have to keep our eyes on God's promise and be able to look through that promise, or not get through that promise, but get through those problems to get to the promise. And that's where a lot of us fail. And that's where I have been failing. I've been looking at the problem and forgetting about God's promise. So I just want to encourage anybody to remember God's promise. And I know this season may not be an ideal season for you, because this season is definitely not ideal for me. But hey, we got to go through it. Jesus promised us that we would actually go through trials, which I think a lot of us forget. And sometimes I forget too, because I'm like, okay, Jesus, like I just came out of a major trial maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. And then here I am going through another season of like testing, and another season of just getting spiritually strengthened. So ultimately I have a higher perspective on that right now. And just to know that, hey, it may get hard, but I got to keep pushing. And then just to even put more icing on the cake, God revealed to me how I am in the spirit through my child yesterday doing homework. So my second grader, he does not like doing homework, y'all. And he don't like doing homework, y'all. Well, I wouldn't say homework. He loved doing homework, but he do not like reading. And my thing is, he can read. And he literally just puts up this wall every time he gets to read. And, he's crying and he's like, I don't want to read. I don't want to do this. And as I'm like going through him reading yesterday, he was doing an amazing job reading, but he just started crying before, we even started reading. And the Holy Spirit just kind of put in my heart, hey, this is you in the spirit at work. Like, you be crying about things that you can actually do. And I'm like, Jesus. And I even had to share that revelation with my husband, because I'm just like, oh my God, like that's how I am in the spirit. My son crying about something that he can do and he just literally don't want to do it. That's how I am in this current season. So I see that is where God is working on me and preparing me so I can finish time on this earth and destiny and purpose that he has for me. But yeah, I just wanted to share that. Hopefully it's encouraging to someone, because we got to go through these trials. So definitely, if you guys want to drop your stories down below, leave a comment, of course, like and subscribe so I can continue to share my journey with you guys. But yeah, today is a glorious day. And I just want to tell you all, I love you, and I love you with the love of Christ. And I hope y'all have a good day. And if this message helped you in any way, please just leave me a comment so that way I know I'm helping you out. Have a blessed day.